Hello and welcome back to the Orlando Adventures podcast. I'm your host, Russ, and today's episode is the tour around Islands of Adventure 1. As a lot of you will know, this is arguably my favorite park. It's my favorite park in Orlando at the moment, and I appreciate that favorite park can change, and it genuinely just does change with a lot of people trip to trip. But for me right now, this is my favorite park. And the reason for that, as I've said many times before, that there are a lot of things in this park that I love going on, that I love doing, I love seeing. So for me, in terms of an immersive park, this is right at the top. But, there are some aspects of the park that potentially probably aren't my favorite, but at the same time, I love it. I love this park so much, and that feeling of kind of walking past the Islands of Adventure lighthouse as you walk down to the entrance of the park, it always gets me. And the whole like going under the kind of stone bridge into port of entry where it says the adventure begins, it gets me. It gets me every time. So let's start in port of entry then. So in port of entry, there are a few shops. There are things such as there's the Christmas shop on the right hand side as you walk in. There is the Universal store on the left hand side. It's a lovely looking area. I really do like port of entry. And in port of entry, there are a few restaurants or kind of like quick serve eat play areas to go. So you've got the Croissant Moon Bakery, you've got Confisco Grill, Backwater Bar, there is a Starbucks, and one of my all-time favorites, there is a Cinnabon, which is a absolute godsend considering the one in City Walk sadly closed. The one in City Walk was my go-to, but obviously unfortunately not there now. So we are heading straight to Islands to get our Cinnabon fix and getting that sweet treat in first thing at the start of the day. Once you've eaten your Cinnabon, obviously eaten your Cinnabon, had your Starbucks, we're gonna hook a left. We often go clockwise on the Orlando Adventures podcast, as you'll all know. So we're gonna head left into Marvel Superhero Island. In Marvel Superhero Island, there are 4 rides. And sorry, just give you a bit of a background of what we do in these episodes. I'm basically going to say which rides there are in each area, and then I will list which restaurants there are as well. I'm not going to go through all of the shops because I will be here all day and it will not be the most interesting episode if I do that. So let's start Marvel Superhero Island. We're going to start with the Incredible Hulk roller coaster. This is this I honestly, I think as rides go, this looks fabulous. I think that the color of it being green, I think that the scale of it, the loops, the sound of the ride as well, I think it's a really good looking ride. I will say that I do think it's a little rough, considering that this ride was retracked in, I think it's 2016, 2017 at this point. It's a little rough, all things considered, but I love it. I love the ride. I really do. Obviously, I'm a big Marvel fan, so anything Marvel themed, I'm generally going to go for. But I love the launch. I think the launch of this ride is fabulous. I think that the soundtrack's good as well. I'm a fan. I know not everybody is, and I know that the ride restraints, the kind of over shoulder restraints, do kind of like your head ends up banging into them quite a lot, so it can be a little bit of a headbanger, this ride. So that is the kind of a word of warning for anyone potentially wanting to go on the Incredible Hulk roller coaster. The next ride we're going to get to is Stormforce Acceleratron. This is kind of like tucked behind Hulk on the left hand side. I've never been on it, I'm going to be honest with you. This is a themed teacup ride as far as I'm aware. I've never been on it. I'm a big fan of X-Men and Storm, but that is not enough for me to go on a teacup ride at the best of times. Sadly, it is, yeah, for kids might be absolutely wonderful, might be a great ride to go on, but for me it's a hard pass. And there aren't many rides I'd pass on, to be fair, but this is one. So next ride we're going to get to is obviously one of the rides that I've spoke about a awful lot throughout the entirety of this podcast through the past 48 episodes. Doctor Doom's Fearful. I think it looks stunning. I really do. I love the aesthetic of it. I love the entrance to the ride as you kind of go through the big like kind of Doom facade. I love the 2 towers. I think they look wonderful. I think the theming in the ride's quite fun. The ride itself is short, so like let's get that fairly straight. It is a short ride, but I like the aspects. I like that the design of it and the fact that it's kind of like a reverse drop ride. I'm not mad on drop rides, to be fair. Like they kind of they get me a little bit, but I mean, don't get me wrong, I'll go on them, but at the same time, like this, I think is brilliant. Instead of the whole like bringing you up slowly, hanging you there, and then dropping you, Doctor Doom does obviously the opposite. So Doctor Doom kind of picks you up a little bit, and then it like shoots you up in the air really fast and kind of bounces you back down. I've said this an awful lot, but the views on this ride at night are fabulous. They really, really are. So genuinely, I'm happy being the Doctor Doom guy at this point, and I'll take it all day long. So please, 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 if you go on this ride in Orlando, tag me in it. Tag me, take a picture outside the ride, tag me in it, because I love it. I love it so much. And it makes me, honestly, it makes me smile. It makes me laugh every time someone tags me in it, saying that they've just been on Doctor Doom. It really, really does. So I appreciate all of you for that. I love that so much. The next ride we're going to get to in the Marvel Superhero Island area of Islands of Adventure is the Amazing Adventures of Spider-Man. So this is a simulated dark ride. It's wonderful. This is a ride that has stood the test of time. It's been updated in terms of the screens over the years, and it is still stands 20 odd years later, and it is brilliant. It really, really is. As simulators go, this is, for me, what a simulator is all about. I think that the theming's brilliant. I like the queue line. I think that's good fun. It's got quite a fun soundtrack. The characters in the ride are brilliant. The villains are great. Yeah, honestly, can't say enough good things about it. I think it's a wonderful ride, and I think anyone who's been on it generally will probably agree. So, Amazing Adventures of Spider-Man, what a ride! There are a couple of restaurants in the Superhero Island area of the park. You've got the Cafe 4, which is a fantastic 4 themed cafe. You've got the Captain America Diner, again, which is a comic book strip themed cafe. And you've also got an Auntie Anne's pretzel stand as well. Heading out of the Marvel Superhero Island area into the next area of the park, which is Toon Lagoon. Toon Lagoon is based on comic books from, I would argue, probably yesteryear. So from maybe 30, 40 years ago, I think these comic book strips are based from. And you've got characters such as like Popeye, Bluto. You've got, there's a Blondie's themed restaurant. You've got Dudley Do-Right. There's quite a hard Betty Boop influence in this area of the park as well. But you've got two rides. You've got two rides in this area of the park. They are both water rides. And when they say you'll get wet, you get drenched. I love them so much. You've got Popeye and Bluto's bilge wrap barges. That's a mouthful. Try and say that after a couple of margaritas, because that ain't gonna happen. Genuinely, what a great ride. This is a ring raft ride, or that's certainly what I'm going to bill it as. It's you get in this kind of ring shaped raft. You, as you'll know from many other rides of this kind of style, you go around it. The kind of Ringo raft thing is turning as you meander your way around the kind of ride through the water. You go through waterfalls, you get sprayed, you get water tipped on you, you get splashed, you go down big drops. It's got it all. And genuinely, what a ride. What a ride. I really, really do rate it. I think it's fantastic. I think that the styling of it's brilliant. Sadly, at some point, this ride is probably going to get a refurb. I'll arguably, I won't be that sad. I think that the theming to Popeye is very good, but I think that maybe Popeye might have run his time. I'm not sure. We'll get into it in another episode. I'm definitely going to do the updates of what updates to do in the parks kind of episode at some point. I think that'll be a good fun episode to do. It's always fun to kind of speculate these kind of things, but I love this ride. So I hope that the ride itself never leaves. Whether or not it updates and it changes IP or whatnot, that's to be seen. But please do not get rid of this ride. It is brilliant. Talking of brilliant water rides, the next ride in this area is Dudley Do-Right's Ripsaw Falls. This is a log flume ride based on Dudley Do-Right and the story and the characters of it. Again, I think it's fantastic. There are big drops. There's a fairly fun story going on. It's fairly long as well. Like, to be fair, in terms of bang for your buck, both of these rides, you get pretty good bang for your buck out of the actual time that you spend in the ride. I'm a big fan of a log flume at the best of times, but this is right up there. It's got quite a big drop, and the drop might not be as big as what it necessarily feels, but it certainly feels big to me. Every time I've been on this ride, I've enjoyed it. I honestly, I cannot remember a time that I've got off it and thought, no, I didn't like that. Like, every time I'm laughing my head off, or I'm just so happy and so excited to have been on this ride. I think it's fantastic. You do get soaked, so, like, word of warning, like, you're getting wet. Okay, so if you're going to do either of these rides, to be fair, I would do it when the weather's slightly better, or at least come prepared with a change of clothes. You get drenched. That is the long and short of it. The other thing I will say with this ride is, I think it's a bit awkward to get in and out of. Maybe I'm the only person who finds this. I don't know. I'm not. Maybe not. But I'm pretty sure you got to, like, lower yourself into it straight legged and then get yourself out of it straight legged as well. It's a little bit bizarre, but once you're in, it's fantastic. But there's always a minor panic of trying to get in and out of this thing. It's a little awkward. So that's the two rides in the Toon Lagoon area. There are a couple of places to eat in this area as well. So you've got the Comic Strip Cafe. You've also got a place called Wimpy's. I'm not sure if Wimpy's is open all year round. I know there was certainly a time where it wasn't, but I'm not sure. I've never actually eaten there personally. And then there is a kind of like sandwich bar place called Blondie's, which I have eaten at. I'm gonna be honest, it's a little average, in my opinion. It's okay. It's okay. Maybe some people love it. Maybe some people love it. I'm not sure, but for me, I thought it was a little average. There is one other thing in the Toon Lagoon area of the park, and that is Me Ship the Olive. Me Ship the Olive is, as far as I'm aware, it's kind of like a little area that kids can kind of like play around on the ship and like climb around on. But also there's a good viewing area out the back there as well. So if you wanted a slightly different view spot of Velocicoaster, there can be a couple of good places to be standing and taking some pictures around there as well. Next area of the park, and I don't know whether or not it is classed as an area necessarily, but Universal seem to think it is, and that is the Skull Island area of the park. There is one ride, and that is the only thing in the area. So how they built it as an area, I don't know, or a land, and that is Skull Island Reign of Kong. So Reign of Kong, I think it looks fabulous. It's a fabulous looking ride, like the facade, the aesthetics of this like temple that they've built as the entrance to the ride. It really, really does look spectacular, in my opinion. It's just such a shame to me that they didn't build more. Like, if they just built like a themed restaurant in this area, surely that would have been better. I don't know. Just to me, it lacks anything in this area that isn't just the ride. And I'm all for just having a ride. It's fine, but it's in a strange area of the park that it bottlenecks a little bit between Jurassic Park and Toon Lagoon. Yeah, but that being said, I think the ride's great. The ride is a simulated bus ride, and I know anyone who hears that probably gets PTSD from Fast and Furious next door. This is the same ride vehicle. Fast and Furious is based on this one, and this one is better. Is about 3.5 million times better than Fast and Furious. It's a good ride. It's a good ride. It's good fun. I think that the screens and the visuals are fantastic. I think the storyline's quite fun as well. I would say, for me, if I'm in Islands of Adventure, I would ride this ride. I wouldn't queue more than about half an hour for it, though. Nowadays, I have queued off an awful lot longer for it, like back in the day. But at this point, I wouldn't do a massive queue for it. I don't think it's necessarily worth anything over half an hour, in my personal opinion. But that being said, it's a good fun ride. I would recommend to do it. If you haven't done it, then definitely do it, because that animatronic of Kong at the end is stunning. It really is. And you probably heard me mention it before, but honestly, that animatronic is up there with one of the most spectacular things in a theme park anywhere, in my opinion. Next area of the park is Jurassic Park and Jurassic World. So it's always used to be Jurassic Park, but obviously they've added a certain ride into the area which is Jurassic World themed. So starting from the kind of end down at Skull Island, we are gonna get to the Jurassic Park River Adventure first. Starting down at the end where Skull Island is, the first ride you'll get to is actually Pteranodon Flyers, which is it's kind of like a hanging coaster, but you can only ride it if you're an adult and a child. Yeah, I mean, I've been on this years ago, but I can't comment on it because I haven't been on it in probably about 16 years at this point. I liked it 16 years ago, but I can't remember it. Like, I cannot remember it at all, to be honest with you. It, to be honest with you, to me, it seems like such a bizarre choice. It seems like a shame as well. Like, by all means, have rides that are more kind of geared to kids. Like, 100%. 100%, like I get it, like by all means, like please do have like child friendly rides, but to basically have it that you can only get one adult on it is such a weird setup for me. Yeah, I would probably change this ride personally, but that's me. So we'll see what happens, and we'll talk about this in an episode in the future for sure. But the next ride we'll get to is Jurassic Park River Adventure. Jurassic Park River Adventure has and always will be one of my favorite rides. I love this ride. I love standing over by like the viewing area where you can see the raft come down and make the massive splash. I love standing there and seeing that. But the ride itself, just being on that kind of raft and going around the ever flowing river or whatever it's billed as. I love going through the Jurassic Park gates as you're kind of getting the narration about the ever flowing river. Seeing all of the dinosaurs when they're all working, they look good, and then kind of like when it all starts to go wrong, I'm a big fan of it. I think it's a fabulous ride, and the drop at the end will always make me laugh. And it's not that big a drop, but it gets my heart in my mouth for a second. It really does. But I love it so much. It's such a great ride, and if they ever were to update this ride, and I would be sad. I know there's quite a lot of talk of it potentially one day turning into the Jurassic World version that they've got over in kind of California area. Would I be gutted? I don't know. As long as the ride stays, then I'm probably okay. But like, I'll be a little bit sad. Because this is a bit of a nostalgia ride for me. But at the same time, if we get a nice shiny new version of it, then I'll probably get over it fairly quickly. But yeah, big fan of the ride. And talking about big fan of rides, I'm the biggest fan going on the next one. And the next one is the Velocicoaster. What a stunning ride. What a stunning ride. Visually, like it looks amazing. It looks fantastic. But getting on that ride and just the aspects of it, I quite like the pre-show, the little story in the pre-show. I quite enjoy that. You know, I enjoy the Jurassic World films a lot, so getting to see Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard kind of like interacting as if they were back in the first film again is good fun. I love it. The fact that it's only got a lap bar, the launches, the kind of like double launch, that top hat, that mosasaur roll over the water. Yeah, honestly, all of the aspects of this ride really do tick a lot of boxes. I think it's a fabulous ride, and at night I think this ride's even better. I really do, and I know I've said it a lot, but if you ever get the opportunity to do this at night, like I'd go out of your way to do it, because I think it is that good. I know I've talked about this a lot and I will continue to do so, but this is an elite tier ride. So Velocicoaster, what an addition to the park. Like genuinely, what an addition. Like Islands of Adventure have knocked it out the park with this ride. Like genuinely have. And like I said, the visuals of it and the fact that they've managed to cram it in where they have is fair play to them as well. I think like they've been so clever with the room they had to be able to get a ride in there. If you said 10 years ago that they're going to put a roller coaster where it is, you'd be like, no chance. Never going to get a ride there, but they've done it. So absolutely full props to them. There's a couple of other areas in the Jurassic Park area. You've got the Discovery Center, which is kind of what the Velocicoaster kind of goes over and around as well, which is good fun. There's an awful lot of activities to do in there. I'm pretty sure downstairs you can see like little dinosaurs being hatched and stuff. There also is the Raptor encounter where you get the opportunity to meet Blue. I've never done it personally. I've seen people do it. It looks like good fun to be able to meet Blue, and always quite funny to see people get a little jumpy when Blue kind of jumps out of the trees behind them. And then you've got a couple of restaurants as well. You have got Thunder Falls Terrace, which is over by the kind of splash zone of the Jurassic Park River Adventure. You've got Pizza Predatoria, which is opposite Velocicoaster, I believe. Burger Digs, which is next to the entrance of the Discovery Center. And you've also got the Watering Hole, which is kind of round the corner from the Discovery Center, as if you were going to walk round towards the Velocicoaster entrance as well. So next area we're going to go to, we're actually going to head across the bridge to Lost Continent. So in Lost Continent, this used to be obviously a heavily themed land. There used to be an awful lot here, but there are no rides in Lost Continent anymore, sadly. It used to be wonderful, but nowadays there is not a lot. There is one thing that Universal built as an attraction, and that is the Talking Fountain. If you've ever done the Talking Fountain, it's so funny. It's so funny. I love when people just go and stand next to it and don't realize that it is the Talking Fountain, and then it starts talking to them. It is so funny. Honestly, it's good fun. And I hope, because inevitably Lost Continent is going to get rethemed at some point, I hope that when it happens, they don't get rid of the Talking Fountain. I hope that it stays in some capacity, because honestly, I think it's such a unique idea and I think it's cool. You know, I'm a big fan. There are 3 places to eat in this area. There's a kebab house. There is also Fire Eaters Grill, and then there is Mythos, which is the best restaurant of the year. I'm not sure which year. Yeah, so that's a slightly more expensive kind of theme park food area. It's kind of a sit down restaurant set up. Yeah, yeah. That's Lost Continent. So there's not a lot there. So inevitably Lost Continent is going to be moved on at some point. But like I said, we'll do an update episode at some point. And we'll really get into all the stuff that potentially could be updated in especially the Universal parks at some point. And Lost Continent inevitably is going to be top of that list. The next area we're going to go to, we're actually going to go backwards towards the start of the park, and we're going to head towards Seuss Landing. In Seuss Landing, there is 4 rides, and I'm going to be honest with you, I've never done any of them. I know. The first ride you get to is the High in the Sky Seuss Trolley Train Ride. What a mouthful. You've got that, which is, and I have seen videos and pictures of people being on it, and you can get some really good views around the park on this little kind of trolley ride around the top of the Seuss Landing area. The next ride in this area is the Cat in the Hat. Then you have also got the Carousel, which is a carousel based on characters from the Dr. Seuss books. And then the final ride in this area is One Fish, Two Fish, Red Fish. One Fish, Two Fish, Red Fish, Blue Fish. Oh, I've said red fish so many times at this point. I will not be saying it again. This ride is cool. I've seen videos. This ride can be good fun. Obviously, I've seen people go on it, and I've seen videos of it. Looks fun for arguably for kids. I think it looks brilliant. Like I said, I've never been on it, so I can't really talk about it too much. But yeah, there are four kind of attractions in this area, which is obviously geared towards children more, but I'm sure a lot of people can get a lot of appreciation for this area from kind of childhood of growing up with these books. I certainly, 2 of my favorite books growing up were Green Eggs and Ham and The Cat in the Hat. So I love seeing some of the aspects of this area. I think it's a really fun looking land. and it's a good area of the park. There's 4 places to eat in this area of the park. You've got Moose Juice Goose Juice, Hop on Pop Ice Cream Shop, Circus McGurkus Cafe Stupendous, and then Green Eggs and Ham Cafe. I haven't been to any of them, so I'm really sorry. And the reason for that is because if I'm absolutely honest with you, I've always just walked straight through Seuss Landing and through Lost Continent to get to the next place, which is the Wizarding World of Harry Potter. I love this area. And the Wizarding World of Harry Potter is Hogsmeade in this park. So in Hogsmeade, as you kind of enter Hogsmeade, you'll obviously see all the facades, you'll see all the houses and the shops with all the snow on the roof. You will see the Hogwarts Express on the right hand side with the conductor stood outside the front of it for a really cool photo op. You've got the Hogwarts Express on the right hand side so that you can actually go over to Diagon Alley and Universal Studios as well. So that's always good fun to go and do, and a fantastic way of getting from park to park. There are 3 rides in this area of the park. You have got Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey. This is obviously originally the main attraction of this area of the park. Is based in Hogwarts. You queue through some of the corridors of Hogwarts itself. I think the theming of it's fabulous. I really, really do. And like being able to see some of the movie props and see characters such as Dumbledore, Ron, Hermione, Harry, and then some of the talking portraits as well. I love it. I really, really do. I love the kind of the feeling of being in Hogwarts as much as anything. And then the ride itself, I think it's good fun. I think that the technology on this ride is fabulous, considering it's over 10 years old at this point. It uses a thing called I think a KUKA arm, which basically is kind of your ride vehicle is on an arm being transported around, going from kind of like screen to live prop to screen to live prop throughout the ride. And I think that's one of the things that actually makes people feel a little bit queasy, if I'm honest with you. But that's another conversation. But I do think it's great, and it's basically a nostalgia trip of Harry Potter. You see a lot of aspects from the Harry Potter films in this one ride. It for me, I think it's great fun. I think it's always fun to go on it. I know that not everybody goes on it, because I know it does make some people feel a little bit queasy, which is completely understandable. I know that a lot of people recommend having like Dramamine or ginger tablets and stuff like that. Yeah, you've obviously got like options you can take to try and make this ride a little bit more bearable. But if you can go on it, or if you've been on it, I'm sure you can appreciate that the aesthetic of this queue line as much as anything, but also like some of the visuals from the actual ride itself can be really, really spectacular. The next ride in this area of the park is Flight of the Hippogriff. So this used to be the Flying Unicorn in this area of the park when it was the Merlinwood area of Lost Continent, but it has been rethemed to the Flying Hippogriff. This is a junior coaster as far as I'm concerned. It is a short roller coaster. It lasts about 30 seconds. And if I'm absolutely honest with you, I probably personally wouldn't queue more than about 20 minutes for it. If it's a short queue, go on it, because it's funny. It's good fun. It feels like it whips a few G's at one point, but it's just not very long, will be the only thing I'll say. So, but at the same time, if you've got young kids with you and this is their first like coaster to go on, they will be elated. I am absolutely sure of that. So good ride, but very short. And the final ride in this area of the park, and the park in general, is Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure. And what a ride it is. What a ride. What a fabulous ride. I think that again, it looks brilliant. I think that the visuals of it are spectacular. The storyline of it's quite fun. I quite enjoy like the pre-shows, and the queue lines. Some of them are a little bit basic. I will say that there's not a lot going on in some aspects of the queue, but I do quite enjoy like the pre-show with Mr. Weasley and Hagrid. I think they're good fun. And just the ride itself, it's so unique. It's so unique with the ability to be able to either be on the bike or be on the sidecar. I love that aspect. I think that's fantastic. The fact that there's various different aspects to the ride as well, in terms of kind of launches, drops, and other things as well. And I don't want to spoil it because in case someone hasn't been on it, there are some really, really cool kind of really cool parts of this ride. But yeah, so anyone who hasn't been on it, please do it. And if you have been on it, same as Velocicoaster, and I've said this quite a lot of times, but if you have been on this ride, you need to go on it at night, because at night this is special. It really is. And there's a couple of aspects of this ride that don't happen in the day compared to at night. So if you get the opportunity, go out your way to do this at night. Go out your way to do this Velocicoaster at night. I'm telling you, this Velocicoaster, Doctor Doom, and that is a good evening of rides at Islands of Adventure. There's two restaurants in this area of the park. You've got the Hog's Head, and you've also got the Free Broomsticks. They're Harry Potter themed restaurants. They're good. They're good fun. They're good to look at. But much like a lot of the places to eat in Universal Studios Islands of Adventure, I will say that they're fairly average restaurants. If I'm absolutely honest with you, I wouldn't go out your way to go to them. Obviously, if you are a big Harry Potter fan and you want to just experience the aesthetic of being in the Hog's Head or being in the Free Broomsticks, go for it all day long. But like, don't go in there with high expectations of the food being like hugely themed Harry Potter food. That's the only thing for me that lets it down a little bit, in my opinion. So I hope you've enjoyed this episode. I really do, because I really enjoy doing these tour around the park episodes. They're good fun. They're good fun to kind of go on a bit of a journey into your imagination of walking around the parks, kind of imagining that you're there. And whether you're in your car, you're at work, or you're at the gym, whatever you're doing, just kind of experiencing walking around Islands of Adventure with me. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. I'm so appreciative of everyone who shares every episode. So thank you so much. We have got one more guest episode coming on Friday, and then we hit the big 50th episode, which is confirmed to release on Sunday. So I'm doing everything I can to make this the biggest collaborative episode in this space ever. So genuinely watch this space, because this is going to be good fun and big. So that will drop on Sunday. It's going to drop in two different kind of versions. So you've got the podcast episode, which is going to be the standard kind of like, it's going to listen as normal like this, with a lot of extras as well. But if you want to see what I'm going to bill as the extended cut, which will have a lot more to it, because you're going to have the visuals of some of the surprises I'm talking about, but also it will be a longer extended version as well. So there will be a little bit of extra stuff at the end. So if you get the opportunity to tune in on the podcast and watch it, then I'll be most appreciative. But please do share it, because I've gone to some fairly extensive efforts to try and make this the biggest video I could. So please tune in. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you've enjoyed this one. I hope you're enjoying the podcast. Anyone who has basically answered the call on the Instagram stories when I've said, have you ever listened to the podcast? Stay to the end of that video, because your shout out is in there. I'm telling you. So hopefully, if you've said that you've listened to the podcast, I put you in there. I've tried to find everyone. I've tried. I've missed hundreds, because I can only put as many people as I can put in there, because I don't know everyone. So if you do listen to the podcast, let me know. Share an episode, or just DM me and tell me that you love listening to it, or tell me you hate listening to it. I don't know. But yeah, so if you've got involved in the podcast, do let me know, because I love speaking to you all. I enjoy this community so much. Anyway, I'm going to stop talking. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I will speak to you all in the next one.